everyone, my name is Rashid. Today is the 4th of June 2023 and I'll be giving my weekly prediction for SPY. As usual, we'll be going over the monthly, then the weekly, and finally the daily charts. But before getting into the video, it's important to make the disclaimer that all information presented in this video is completely for educational purposes, and it is important to take an informed position in the market and not only rely on this information, since markets are subject to risk and can result in hefty losses if uninformed positions are taken. Therefore, it is highly advised to consult a financial advisor before taking any position in the market, long or short, in order to avoid unnecessary losses. Now that we've gone over the disclaimer, we can get into the video. Now, there have been some very interesting developments since last week's video. As we can clearly see, the month of May did close high and did end up breaking the long-term resistance of 418.18. Then as for the current month, although we can't predict on it yet, we can see that it is very, very bullish, and this will become more and more apparent as we get into the weekly and finally the daily charts. However, we can now see that this resistance line has been broken and is currently still closed above. So we can take this as a strong bullish signal. Plus, we can also see that this trend line, this long-term downward trend line, has also been broken, which makes it another strong bullish indicator. And the RSI, as we can see here, is now starting to go upwards, which is a confirmation of the upwards movement that we're seeing right now. So from the monthly charts, we can get a very, very strong bullish technical analysis, since the candlestick charts show a close above a long-term resistance line close to a year of resistance at 418.18 has finally been closed above, and the market is soaring above 418 and closed several weeks above it. So we have very, very bullish sentiment, which is confirmed by the RSI. Now let's move to the weekly charts. And here, we get to see things in a little bit better perspective. So let's start from this week here. We had a strong green candle on the week of 15th of May. Then the next week we had a dragonfly doji, which is another bullish signal since the market went significantly downwards and then got pushed up again. And this week, or last week, we had another very, very strong bullish week. Now, one thing to note, and this is the crux of the whole thing here, is that it is very, very close to the top bar of the Bollinger Band. Now, it is equally possible that the band just expands and moves upwards, but if we look at previous price action, we can see that this rarely happens before an entailing downwards rally. Let's look in the past. As we can see, this line was touched and then we got a reversal to the mean. If you go back in time, we can see almost every time it touches the top of the Bollinger Band, it does reverse downwards. So for this scenario, it's important to be a little bit wary. And although we have strong bullish traction, it is equally possible that the market just reverses downwards as well. Also, if we look at the RSI, we can see that it's 63.35, which is dangerously close to the overbought zone at 70. Although it hasn't crossed it yet, just something to be wary of. If during the week the market does end up crossing it, it is possible to expect a downward reversal, which can be in turn with the Bollinger Band's top bar causing a downwards rally as well. And finally, let's move to the daily charts to conclude our technical analysis, and then move over to the Excel charts to do some option chain and go over the overall prediction. So, daily charts show us the price movement in a lot more detail. We can see that we had, obviously, the past week we had a downwards movement, then we had an upwards rally, and this week it went down, and then we had two strong green bullish candles. As we can see, it's even broken the top bar of the Bollinger Band, which is not good for the bullish movement, since it's very, very difficult the band to just expand for this gap up. Although it can still be a starting of a bullish trend, it is important to take into consideration that the market does often reverse at these points. So, and another thing to note is the RSI. It's at 66.46, dangerously close to the overbought zone of 70. So, although we have good bullish traction and good bullish sentiment from the monthly, weekly, and daily charts, we also have to take into consideration the RSI and the Bollinger Bands, which although do confirm our upward movement so far, it can cause a downward rally. So for this case, we'll go over to the Excel chart and we'll go over a more detailed explanation of the actual prediction. Now that we've covered the technical analysis part of the video, let's get into the actual prediction. Before going into this week's prediction, it is important to look at last week, which went very well for us, because we took a buy on the last day of the week at 424.5 of a total of 236 shares. Then we had a total margin of $100,182 spent, but the exit price was $427.92, and we ended up making $807.12, and our weekly closing balance is $101,234.89. So we have 2 consecutively profitable weeks, which is a good sign. Now, for this week's prediction. As usual, it is a no trade yet. We wait for the specified candle, the last candle of the daily charts, breakout. We wait, we buy when it crosses the high at 428.74. We sell when it falls below the low at 423.95 with a target of 1% or 0.5% on the last day with a trailing stop loss. Now, this is to be taken with a bit of grain of salt because if it does close over, some personal judgment is also required. And if this happens, I will make a video or alter the prediction accordingly, which I'll cover in next week's video depending on many factors outside of this video. So this is the official prediction. However, it is subject to change since this week is particularly interesting at the top of the Bollinger Band, and other factors might come into play which might result in a minor change in the prediction. If the target or stop loss is not hit, then we take the closing price on Friday, assuming a trade has been taken. The max OI for the monthly expiry is 420 for CE at 100,559 and 400 for PE at 164,606. No change from last week, and the monthly PCR is 2.10. The max OI for the weekly expiry is 425 for the CE and at 18,748 at open interest and 390 for PE at 37,789. So the CE and PE are down this week, so we have a kind of negligible signal from the option chain and we can discount it altogether. The weekly PCR is 2.09. The price action is an upward channel, which if we switch over to the video, we can see the upward channel that I have drawn in the chart. The weekly trend is up since we have 3 consecutively bullish candles, and as the same reason, monthly trend is also up. And as usual, if any trade is taken, we'll cover it in next week's video as part of the prediction. And this concludes my video for this week, and I'll see you next week where we review this week's prediction and make SPY's prediction for next week. See you then.